I typed up my report using one of the camp's bulky typewriters. Although we'd heard of cell phones and computers and something called the internet, all that was fried by the electromagnetic pulse that accompanied the bombs. Omega, they called that day. The end of the end. One enormous burst of electromagnetic radiation, and everything that was even remotely electronic was fried to a crisp. Computers became the stuff of legend. Most cars were no longer drivable. And although I'd read about them, I'd never seen an airplane in the sky, and figured I never would. Not that Camp Liberty was without luxuries. Every Friday night we gathered in the mess hall to watch movies, the film projector powered by the camp's generators. The problem was, only a handful of movies survived, all oldies, and so we saw the same 10 films all year, every year. Stagecoach, Shane, To Kill a Mockingbird, that kind of thing. I stripped the paper from the typewriter's roller. For obvious reasons, I neglected to mention the boy's whispered message. I walked the report over to Major Carston's office and left it with Sergeant Decker. "Slice, slice," he said with a sneer, enjoying the in-joke that, thankfully, only a couple of us understood. My face burned, and I got out of there as fast as I could. Days passed, rumors flew. Some claimed the boy in the black t-shirt was a convict on the run. Others said he was no outlaw, merely an LT from an adjoining territory. What I couldn't figure out was why he was in the middle of the no water in the first place, on the outskirts of an orphanage. That's what Camp Liberty was, although in official Republic jargon it was called a resettlement camp. There were several hundred of us, all guys, most with birth defects brought on by Omega's radiation. Those toxic clouds remained floating above the earth like Christmas ribbon encircling a present, just waiting for someone to tighten the bow. Our poor mothers had been doused with so many gamma rays, or alpha particles, or whatever it was, that they brought us into this world with one too many fingers, or one too few, or shriveled arms, or, in my case, one leg shorter than the other. And then they died shortly after giving birth. It was never clear how it all began. Some say a group of no-goods on the other side of the planet got hold of weapons of the nuclear kind. Others claim our own allies were to blame, attacking countries who then counterattacked. However it started, a dozen nations ended up shooting off nuclear warheads like it was the 4th of July until every major city in the world was obliterated, utterly wiped out. Of course, since all this took place a good 20 years ago, we had to rely on what the soldiers told us, which wasn't always accurate. It was the other camps I wondered about. They had to be out there, right? There were rumors, of course, grisly tales of torture and atrocities. But who really knew what was true and what was made up? "John L. 183. A brown shirt was standing by my table in the mess hall. "Yeah?" "The Colonel wants to see you." My fork lowered. Whenever Colonel Westbrook asked to see an LT, it usually meant one thing: punishment. Was it the false report? Had the Colonel somehow figured out the boy had told me more than I let on? "Maybe you're going through the Rite early," Flush suggested. I shook away the notion. No one graduated until they were 17. I still had another year. "That'll teach you to read so many books," Dozer said, snorting. He was a barrel-chested LT who could never be accused of reading books. The acne-scarred soldier waited for me to get up. Like all the soldiers in camp, he wore a uniform of black jackboots, dark pants, and a brown shirt. That's why we called them brown shirts. We were clever that way. I left the mess hall feeling like I was headed to my execution. Sunlight blinded me as we crossed the camp's infield. Above us, the flag atop the pole cracked in the wind like a whip. Snap. Snap. We approached the headquarters, an ancient, rotting log building that sat in the middle of camp like a festering sore. An older brown shirt